I'm Adrian Laurie, licensed professional counselor and professional life coach, and this is Keys to Change, where I offer you concepts and techniques for personal transformation. The topic of today's episode is Keys to Self-Discipline. I'm going to unlock an aspect of the psychology of discipline so that you will have both a practical concept and an actionable technique to develop a discipline that's yours. I've had many clients say to me over the years, Adrian, I think I need better discipline. And the way they're typically thinking about it is something like they need to be a better soldier. And that is often absolutely true. But what is equally true in virtually all cases is a need as well to be a better general. And that is the theme of today's episode. You are both the soldier and the general. So I'm going to give you the keys to being a better soldier, yes, because that is very important. But I'm also going to give you the keys to being a better general. And that is absolutely equally important. And I think less well understood. Many people have an inner general, if you will, who is unthoughtful, unkind, unclear, and often, frankly, vain, petty, and crass. This general is upset to see his soldiers, or her soldiers, as the case may be, although I'm not sure I've ever had a single woman tell me that she thinks she needs more discipline. So I don't know what that's about, but in any event, this general is upset to see his soldiers being unmotivated, disrespectful, even rebellious, but never stops to wonder whether he, in his role as a general, might have anything to do with this. So the moral is, if you think this applies to you, then you need to become a better general in your own life. Now, what does that mean? I would say three things. There's a mental or thinking aspect, an emotional or a feeling aspect, and an action or behavioral aspect. The mental or thinking aspect to being a better general is you take the time to really think through what are my aims and what are the strategies that can be employed? What is currently working and what is not working so well? This thinking is a big part of the work of the general. And I'm not talking, by the way, about rumination or pointless obsessing. I'm talking about real, hard, practical thinking and strategizing about your actual life. Okay? Now, too, the emotional aspect or the feeling aspect, you operate in your role as the general with the interests of the soldier in mind, with the soldier's health and well-being in mind. You take into account how the soldiers feel about things and what motivates them. You're clear, but you're kind. You're honest, but encouraging. You listen, and you seek to cultivate a relationship with your soldiers of genuine mutual respect. Now, 3 is the action or behavioral aspect. And with this aspect, you give clear, accomplishable orders. Orders that are easy to understand and to follow. So an order like, make me successful, damn it, just do it, is not a good order. This is putting all of the general's work onto the soldier. An order like, start going to business networking events. That's a little bit better. That may or may not be clear and accomplishable. Find one business networking event to attend this month, sign up for it, and then attend it. That is, assuming that it fits with your interests, which it may or may not. It's just an example. But assuming it fits with your interests and that you live close enough to some city center, that would be a clear and accomplishable order. Okay? So mental, emotional, behavioral. The mental is real thinking. The emotional is a caring and respectful attitude toward the soldiers. And the behavioral is clear, accomplishable orders. Okay? Now, there's a lot to be said here about being a good general, so 3 more points for you to build on those last. 1, a good general knows that the war is won in the long range, not the short range. Many generals in this world, the inner generals, are kind of looking for a quick fix, something that will win the war instantly. And this attitude is the attitude of a general who is going to lose the war. Okay? So a good general recognizes that wars are won by a succession of actions. Therefore, point number 2, a good general conveys positive spirits to his soldiers for all orders accomplished. When they accomplish some order, he doesn't say, what good was that? We still haven't won the war. I don't know why my inner general is a little bit Yiddish. I'm sure it has to do with my family origins. Okay, putting that aside, what good was this? That we haven't won the war. That is going to demotivate your soldiers, right? That's a surefire way to demotivate them. So when an order has been accomplished, a good general says, good work, men, and then learns whatever there is to be learned from the action that was taken, and then strategizes about the next action to be taken. And that takes us to the third point here. A good general recognizes a big role for learning, and so is pretty liberal about trying different things, especially at certain stages of development, especially the early stages of any project you're undertaking. Many of the actions are not in and of themselves going to lead to the results that you're ultimately looking for. But all of your actions can lead to an essential value, that being learning, if you're oriented around the value of learning. Okay? So on this point, if you like the military metaphor, you could think in terms of reconnaissance missions. Okay? Now, I don't think in terms of reconnaissance missions, but again, this is a military metaphor. If you like that, think in terms of reconnaissance missions. Well, here's one example. Let's say we want to develop an exercise practice or routine, okay? But we're overwhelmed by the idea of going to the gym 5 days a week for the rest of our life, or whatever other image you might have in your mind, okay? But how about a single trip to the gym sometime this week? You get a day pass for $25 or whatever it is. Spend 15 to 20 minutes futzing around in there, and that's it. Just one short trip to the gym, just once this week. Now you would say, well, Adrian, why would I do that? What good is that going to do? Well, the good it could do is it might give you essential information that you wouldn't otherwise have, and that you can base future thinking and planning around. Okay? Maybe it turns out that you'd go on this one trip and it becomes clear that you can't stand the gym. This would never be for you. Is this not the right exercise modality for you? Great. Now you can go in some different direction. Okay, and try something else. Or maybe you hate this particular gym, right? But you sort of have some sense that a different gym might work for you. Then maybe the next week you go to a different gym and see how that goes. Or maybe you like it and you feel kind of stimulated and it's more interesting than you anticipated. And it gives you motivation and ideas to do a little more the next week. Maybe the next week you go to the gym twice. You see? It's a reconnaissance mission. And whatever you learn, learning is valuable. Okay, I don't think of it in these terms, but I do a lot of reconnaissance missions in life. So you do a lot of things, you just do them because you're going to learn something. You don't know what you'll learn, but take action. Okay, it'll help you strategize in the future. Action is often the alternative to being caught up in unproductive rumination. Action, action, action. It's really important. Okay, now let's talk about being a good soldier. Because as essential as it is to be a good general, and it is essential, we would be fooling ourselves if we didn't also recognize the need to be a good soldier, okay? So assuming that we are being a decent general, how can we be a good soldier? What makes for a good soldier? And the answer is actually pretty simple. A good soldier, generally speaking, follows orders. A good soldier follows orders, folks. It is pretty simple. It is just do it. Assuming that we're being a decent general, when we give ourselves an order, then in our role as soldiers, our job is to follow that order. We don't question it. We don't dilly-dally. We don't think about it. That's the general's job. Not to dilly-dally, but to think. The soldier's job is action. We just do it. That's the job of the soldier, is action. So it's not your job when it comes time to, for example, go to the networking event or go to the gym for 15 minutes to say, is this really that important? Is this really going to work? I don't think so. I've got better things to do. Okay? Your job and your role as a soldier, unless there's some compelling reason not to do what you were ordered to do, like, for example, you're supposed to go over to that ridge, but you take one peek and it turns out there's 50,000 Nazis down there that you know the general didn't realize that they were there. Then maybe you go back to the general and say, General, there's 50,000 Nazis down there. I don't think you realize it. Thank you, soldier. Good work. I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board and see what we're going to do now. Okay? But it's got to be compelling like that. Generally speaking, you don't question orders. You just follow them. Okay? So in your role as a soldier, you're going to follow the order that you've given yourself in your role as the general. Okay? Don't imagine that the war can be won by the general alone. It obviously cannot be. You've got to do your part as a soldier. Okay? And there is a relational aspect here too, because if as a soldier we don't follow the orders of our general, that will demotivate the general. Okay? If the soldier in us does not follow orders relatively consistently, then in our role as general, it's natural that we're going to feel, well, what's the point of me doing my general work? The soldiers never do what I tell them to do anyway. And we'll have trouble finding the motivation to do that general work, to do the thinking, the strategizing, the formulating of orders. Okay? So developing better discipline involves these two things, being a better general on the one hand and being a better soldier on the other. The general and the soldier need to learn how to respect and trust both themselves and each other. And this itself, if you're working on better discipline, is a process, and you want to be a good general and a good soldier about this process itself. Okay? So I'm going to give you something practical to try, and you modify it as you see fit, or you can take it as it is. But if you're looking to develop better discipline, what I would propose is you take some time over the weekend, probably no more than an hour, to do some general work. Okay? Consider some area of your life that you're wanting to improve, any area, and think about and formulate one order to be followed in the coming week. Okay? Make sure your order is absolutely followable. Something that's clear, totally doable, something that you absolutely can and will do. Okay? Don't worry about whether it will accomplish anything other than giving you an experience of giving an order and following it in the context of an effort to become a better soldier and a better general. Okay? So maybe it's an order that's a little bit of a reconnaissance mission, unlikely to accomplish much in and of itself other than yield some valuable insight or information. Make sure you're committed to being a good general with respect to the accomplishment of the order. Okay? The goal is not to win the war or even to win a battle, but rather just to accomplish the action. Then during the week, you be a good soldier and carry out that order. And then the following weekend, take some time, again, probably no more than an hour, and do some more general work. Say to the soldier in you, good job, soldier. And then consider whatever you might have learned from the experience. Okay? And that's it. This is a process that shouldn't last more than 10 days. Okay? One session in your role as a general over the weekend, one order to be followed during the week, one additional session in your role as a general the following weekend. Okay? And you might notice that I'm striving in formulating the exercise to make sure it's doable, clear, something that you can carry out. Hopefully I've achieved that. I want you to be able to feel a sense of accomplishment, even if it doesn't yield any specific result other than whatever you might have learned from moving through it. Okay? As a last point, I would say there's a little bit of a spiritual aspect to being a good general and a good soldier. It's kind of like a cosmic dance, if you will. You care, but you kind of don't care. You strive, but you kind of don't strive. You seek to maintain your balance on that surfboard, but you recognize that the ocean has a significant role to play. Okay? All right, so I hope this episode is useful to you and helps you unlock your capacity for a healthy discipline. You're welcome to let me know your thoughts in the comments. I welcome, by the way, your criticisms or critiques. You can visit me at adrianlaurie.com or by following the link in the description if you'd ever like to set up a private counseling or coaching consultation with me. And thank you for listening.